Everything from clothing to household items are getting more expensive each day. The world of fast fashion has complicated clothing production by outsourcing around the world to whoever can sew them the cheapest. And now you, the consumer, are paying the price with rising costs. American Giant is about keeping things simple and close to home. They aren't affected by tariffs because their products never leave the U.S. So when you buy from American Giant, you're taking a stand for hardworking people, local communities, and quality clothes. American Giant directly supports American manufacturers and ensures you aren't footing that tariff bill. Support American-made, tariff-free clothing with American Giant. Get 20% off your first order when you use promo code STAPLE20 at American-Giant.com. That's 20% off when you use code STAPLE20 at American-Giant.com.
Coach, the energy out there felt different. What changed for the team today?
It was the new game day scratchers from the California Lottery. Players everything. Those games sent the team's energy through the roof.
Are you saying it was the off-field play that made the difference on the field?
Hey, a little play makes your day, and today it made the game. That's all for now.
Coach, one more question.
Play the new Los Angeles Chargers, San Francisco 49ers, and Los Angeles Rams Scratchers from the California Lottery. A little play can make your day. Please play responsibly. Must be 18 years or older to purchase, play, or claim.
Hey, y'all. Darius Rucker here. A lot of people ask me, what inspires your music? And one of the big things is a strong sense of place. That's why I love my home state of South Carolina and want to share the awesome things it has to offer. From the beautiful mountains down to the sunny coast, it's got it all. Not to mention two of my personal favorites, great golf and amazing food. Come see why I love this place. Visit discoversouthcarolina.com.
You did something for the first time.
In a so-called free state, officials and stakeholders concoct solutions to problems often created by other bureaucrats and with little regard for infringements on the people. These stories are born at the apex of freedom and entrepreneurship. We foolishly advocate for the taxpayer. Brian's Beat presents Freedom Fools.
And the Brian's Beat quote of the day: we need to change America's image around the world. America has lost some luster in terms of how folks aspire to be like us. That quote sounds like it could have been written yesterday or the day before or the day before that. And I'm not exactly sure when Samuel L. Jackson came up with that quote, but it certainly hits a chord today. We need to change America's image around the world. I think if we're going to change the image, we first have to know what that image should be. What are we projecting? Are we projecting, America, so the United States of America, not what's happening in Massachusetts compared to what's happening in Ohio compared to what's happening in New Mexico? What is our image supposed to be? Because you have to know what it's supposed to be in order to make any changes that need to be made. So in other words, if we need to change America's image, what has changed? Because to me, the image as emblazoned within our Constitution is a pretty damn good image. But I don't think we as a nation, not as a commonwealth, but as a nation, we're not living up to that image. We're not living up to the Statue of Liberty image with the tired, huddled masses of folks. And I know the president has projected that he wants to make America great again. Well, could that image around the world be that image that we're not great right now, even as the president tries to make us great again? That's what MAGA is, Make America Great Again. And then the second sentence from Samuel L. Jackson, America has lost some luster in terms of how folks aspire to be like us. What luster have we lost? Are we not that shining image that we wish to project? I would tend to think not. I mean, I guess the best thing to do would be to ask someone that wasn't born here, who was here, an adult, and ask them what they, what was your thought process coming to the United States of America? Have we lived up to that image that you thought that you were entering into? I am really curious to find out what, that could be the ultimate question to ask folks. Not when they're coming in trying to get their documentation all squared off, but after they've been here for a month, maybe 6 months. Is this what you thought the United States of America would be all about? What part of our image, or at least the image that you thought that we had, is missing? Should it be replaced? Yeah, I think, again, I'm not sure exactly when Samuel L. Jackson came up with this quote, but I can look at that quote and say, well, if he stated it 2 or 3 months ago, he'd certainly be right on point. So I throw it out to you. If you believe we need to change America's image, look, let me just throw this in there, and I do want to try to keep this America's image, not a particular state or city or town. But in saying that, we have forces within the Commonwealth of Massachusetts trying to change the image of the state flag, taking the Native American right out of the picture, along with the hatchet or sword. America, we need to change our image. We've lost some of the luster in terms of how folks aspire to be like us. What does that mean? Do they aspire to be able to make as much money as they want? Do they aspire the freedom of travel? Do they aspire to not have to worry about showing their papers almost everywhere that they go? Do they aspire to have running water in their abode, a bathroom in their home? What, it's so broad based. And, there are plenty of, if a Western European person comes to the United States, it's different than a person that might be coming from East Timor, where the living conditions are nowhere near the same as they might be in Belgium. So I ask because I do see news from other countries, and I have to tell you, not that you don't know this already, but the respect that the United States of America used to have, and this predates Donald Trump. In fact, it predates Obama. Just to size it up for you, this is something that's been going on for a number of years, a couple of decades minimum. People can't believe some of the things that we do when we go to their country. We are expecting service, snap, snap, snap. Part of that is what's been ingrained into our brain about giving somebody super service. The better service, the better chance of a recommendation, somebody coming back to your restaurant, somebody coming back to your shoe store, your dress store, whatever the case may be. So we expect the same thing when we go overseas, and when people aren't working as fast as we're used to people working over here, all of a sudden, we're rotten people. We're rotten tourists. When we, and again, this predates the both Trump administrations. When we try to tell other nations how to run their affairs, let me use Haiti for instance. And we don't like the response that we get from Haiti. Well, we can understand why the Haitians are upset. When the United States starts funneling guns to the opposition of the party that we wanted to make the changes that we recommended, read arm-twisted for, we can understand why the folks in that nation are upset at the United States. Not necessarily you, but they take it out on the yous and me's if we ever go to their country. They're taking it out on us by, okay, if that's the way you're going to do it here, well, we're just going to come to your country. And it's a living hell over in Haiti right now. People say, well, why don't they go back and make it better? Well, if you are there and there's no government to speak of, or government for the people, by the people, and the other folks are armed with weapons and they shoot to kill, do you want to take your family back to that particular country? I don't know how many people have come to the United States from Venezuela. But I do know over the past couple of weeks, the United States has blown up a couple of boats in, at worst, international waters, and one of them, it could have been in Venezuelan waters. And the president of the United States is, having his lieutenants along with himself pronounce this boat as a boat that was carrying drugs. Now, sitting in my nice comfy chair in this studio, I can't tell you if there were drugs on that boat or not. I can't tell you if the people driving the boat or on that boat were drug runners. I don't know if they were armed with weapons and ready to shoot if they needed. I don't know that. And my guess is you don't know it. But this administration wants us to believe that they were going after drug runners. And they stopped them. At best, they stopped them in international waters. Nowhere near the United States of America. What's troubling is this was a shoot and don't even bother to ask any questions agenda. So when Samuel L. Jackson says we need to change America's image around the world and that we've lost luster, that could be part of it. Obviously, Samuel L. Jackson said these words before, or to the best of my knowledge, before the incidents in Venezuela. When we choose sides in wars that we really don't need to be a part of, that's not helping our image. Whether we're talking about Eastern Europe, West Asia, when we start to pick sides, and we tend to be on the side of the bully if we're not indeed the bully, it's not helping our image. And I know most of the time folks don't see it, don't feel it, don't know about it, and, sometimes ignorance is bliss. But as I have mentioned a couple of times, brought it back up predominantly on 9/11, I don't want another 9/11 in this country and then have to hear people say, why do they hate us? They don't necessarily hate you, but it's that image that Samuel L. Jackson is talking about. We're looked at as big bullies. We're looked at as we have to get things the way that we want. And if we don't, you can expect sanctions. Or, as what's happening with Maduro down in Venezuela, a $50 million bounty. Really? Do you hear other nations complaining about Maduro? I don't. And I scour. I'm not hearing it. My guess is you're not hearing it. Wonder why. $50 million bounty. Where's that money coming from? 508-996-0500 is how you can get on and comment here about America's image around the world and what you think might be necessary to make that image change. Again, I'm trying to think maybe there's that bit of news that I missed about Maduro, but I don't think so. Maybe I did. Hello.
Hey, Brian. Don't you think there's certain things the government can see that maybe they're taking action against Maduro because of those actions we can't see?
Try your question again, please.
Don't you think the government sees things sometimes at a different level? We don't always have the whole story, and that's pro and con, I suppose. But maybe there's a story against Maduro, and other countries, they don't have to speak out against Maduro because guess what? The biggest, meanest, wealthiest guy on the block, which is the United States, is speaking out on their behalf. Really? Are
they? Well, I think you brought it up. We don't know, and yet we are willing to just go out and kill. I would say to you, if the nation, not you personally, if the authorities believe that there's something irregular going on there, stop the boat, search the boat, and if need be, take them to trial. Prove your case. That is what we do. Prove the case.
But we don't do that in international waters when we've declared. Didn't we declare war against drug terrorists? And now that's a generic thing because it's hard to determine the countries or the actual people. But if the government has good inside information that there's a boat in international waters full of coke and it's heading to wherever, I don't have a problem with it.
Well, you should, because you don't know that that's what it is, and you just blew up people out of the water.
But maybe the government does know.
Well, they still have to prove their case.
Do they?
Yes, they do. Because I'm going to come back to you. Another country could do the same thing to the United States, and they were smuggling people, so we just blew them out of the water.
Absolutely fair. I think that's absolutely fair. But what I would say is, I think that, and I hate to just believe the government, but unfortunately, it's all we got. Okay, I have to use my brain and I have to make my own decisions. But I honestly don't believe Donald Trump is blowing up little fishing boats just so he looks good. I don't believe that. Do you believe that?
I would have to tell you I do.
You do? Okay.
Yes. Again, if you've got what is called a solid case, then bring it forward. All right. Especially after you put a $50 million bounty down on the president of that nation. I think what we're going to see is the same thing that we're seeing in Gaza. You're looking for some type of regime change. Same thing that you're looking for in Iran. That's what I think this is all about. I think $50 million is nothing considering all of the oil that is right there off the shore of Venezuela. That's what I think this is all about.
Well, I would agree with you in some parts, but I think sometimes regime change does benefit the average American, and sometimes it's a dirty game. And that's the reason we have the CIA, to do dirty things like that. I think Trump has stepped up that game a little bit in this case, and he is more aggressively sending messages. And I don't have any problem with that. I believe charity starts at home, which it should in this country, and we have to worry about our own citizens. We can't keep...
worry about our citizens over the sake of other sovereign citizens of another nation.
Yes, unfortunately, yes. Okay. And I know the liberals don't like that, or the other side, so to speak, doesn't like that. And I'm not saying just ruthlessly go in and kill, but I am saying if the government, we put the government in charge of protecting us, and if the government has a good reason for killing people in a boat full of drugs and they have proof, then I think they should do it.
I got you. I definitely don't agree. And to me, this is one of the reasons why there is a war on drugs, because the big people in the war on drugs are always protected. 508-996-0500. Thank you. Hello.
Howdy.
Howdy.
I almost said hi, and I remembered to say howdy.
Especially since we're talking about drugs.
Yeah, right? There you go. You definitely would have used that against me. First of all, how are you?
I am. How are you?
Very good, thank you. Always nice to hear you on the radio. So, one, I just want to say, we don't know what the special ops know. They got secret satellites that can zoom down in on the international waters and whatnot. Special ops don't mess around. And that intelligence is generally spot on. Venezuelan boats coming out of there, I don't hear them, the country, saying, hey, what did you do or anything.
You don't?
I don't hear a peep out of them.
I have. And they have.
Nothing.
I believe you. You haven't. Let's face it. Well, the conversation has been pretty much all Charlie all the time.
Yeah. Okay. And that's another thing I wanted to hit a point on. That the shooting, that school shooting that day, I thought I heard, briefly, as I'm walking by the radio, I thought I heard them say Columbine. And I said, oh, so what are they doing? Some kind of comparison about the age of school or, so, and that was the end of it until you just said today that it was a shooting. And, so me and you were talking about this a few weeks ago because it was something else that we didn't hear about anything. And I wouldn't have heard about it if it wasn't for you. So there you go. It's crazy. So, yeah, things just make
I guess my ears were at the right place at the right time. And my eyes.
Right. And I just want to go to the heating and fuel. So what I heard a few weeks back was I heard that the bills are going up 3% this year and 4% next year. And the increase is going to be because of data. So, and now if you
because of what, please?
Data. They have to hire people that can retrieve all this data and do all this data work and store it, and you know what I mean? So the data, if you think about what she's fixing to do here, is making smart meters. Everybody has smart meters with Wi-Fi. Well, yeah, they need all that data. They need a lot of people to take all this, retrieve the data and store it and whatnot. That's absolutely crazy. So it's going up. Now, you said you heard 13% and 14% for the heat?
So here it is. Thank you for bringing it up from Ben Simenow over at WCVB. Apparently, utility proposals from Eversource has asked the DPU, Department of Public Utilities, to approve increases of at least 13% for gas. And some customers could pay as much as 17% more.
Jeez, wow. It's crazy.
So whatever your lowest winter bill was for gas last year, if you pay for gas, add 13% on top of that.
Wow.
That's what they're requesting. Now the governor, I'm outraged. These rate hikes are outrageous. Yet she doesn't tell the DPU to don't let it happen. This is her quote. Okay. I am urging the DPU to scrutinize this proposal and push back on Eversource. Does that sound like anything big is going to happen?
No. I'm kind of, I got to digest that one.
Please.
Some of the things she says, you got to really pick apart. And yeah, there's an ulterior motive for everything she does.
Well, she picks the DPU.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. What?
She picks the people that are on the Department of Public Utilities.
But yes, she does. And I thought somebody was doing some kind of investigation on that to stop that. I swore I heard somebody saying that they wanted to make a bill, put it.
Maybe. I don't know. But right now, she is the sole person. And I would not expect a bill like that to pass on Bacon Hill.
Well, that's what I'm wondering, because I thought I heard something was going to Bacon Hill that was going to stop this, her hiring these people and then having all these changes made with it. And, of course, they're going to do exactly what she wants, and she can pretend she's not doing anything. But so you can also now expect a 3% and 4% increase in electric. So whenever this smart meters start coming around, do you know for my heat over the summer, I'm paying $20-something in delivery, which was $12 a year before that. $12 a month for everything included, right? And not even using it. That's just because, that's the hot water heater. I don't pay for hot water, but there is a gas burner. So, and now it's $20 rather, just for the delivery. And then, so I'm paying $32 in the summertime a month. That's absolutely ridiculous. I'm so afraid what's what she's going to do? She's going to force everybody on some kind of fuel assistance because nobody's going to be able to keep up with all this. And everybody's going to be in fuel assistance. This whole state will be fuel assistant reliable, and they're going to run out of funds. They ran out of funds last winter, remember? I
do. And I'm not, I'm glad you said what you did, so I didn't have to say it. But yeah, I mean, That's what's going to, not everybody. I mean, the ultra rich people, they won't have to worry about fuel assistance. But even the folks that are considered middle income, and middle income right now could be a household income of $200,000, you could still be on some type of assistance because you've got so many other bills to pay. And now you look at your electric and your gas bill along with your new rent bill or mortgage bill.
Yeah.
You're getting socked.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean, she's forcing everybody's hands.
Well, not just her. I mean, look, the same thing happened during the Baker administration. We just don't talk about it as much. But now when you feel, well, it's never anything like this until the next person gets in the office, and all of a sudden you don't remember anything like that, even though you were complaining during the previous administration. We've been complaining about these bills for a long time.
No, well, you know what? I never have. I only once, because my husband had passed, and I needed to get fuel assistance, and I did. And then they were like forcing my hand into paying the whole bill. It was going to get shut off when I'm on fuel assistance. The mayor straightened out that for me. And, they were being very tricky. Pace was. And they weren't telling the electric company. Pace. Yeah, so things got messy. But now I haven't been back on them. But I'm like sitting thinking, I like to do a lot of charity work. And I usually start doing my charity stuff now, donations. And I'm thinking, you know what, I might not be able to do that this year and still pay off the electric and the heat. So I don't know. Go on fuel assistance and still be able to do it? Or I don't know. But then that's a tax burden on other people. I don't want to be a tax burden.
There you go.
I don't want,
good point.
You know, and I don't want people to say, if I go somewhere, I choose to go somewhere and enjoy myself, go on a mini vacation or something. I don't want everybody saying, well, Sketty, we hear her all the time, and she's doing this and that, but yet she's on fuel assistance. Well, you know what? Should I not live? I mean, people should still be able to do the things they enjoy.
But you know what? When you're able to do that, and I'm going to let you go, when you're able to do that, then other people can't live their life. Just like you're talking about the the gas bills right now. You're paying extra for energy assistance for other people. It's a vicious circle. But what happens is everybody gets on the plan, and then who's left paying that bill? Thank you for your call. Let's get one more in before the break, okay? Okay. Hello.
Hi, Brian.
Hi, Brian.
The leaders and the rulers of the world, they lead the people astray, and the people are not aware of it. Well, I like your moniker, Freedom Fools. Apostle Paul was a fool for Christ. But the world, in their wisdom, the Lord takes away their wisdom and catches them in their craftiness. When you die in Christ as a living sacrifice, then you're free. You suffered, you're free. You arm yourself with the mind of Christ. People go to war and they think they're fighting for liberty, but they're fighting against God because He's the judge. When you die, you're going to see Him. Everybody's going to see Him. You're not free, you're in prison. That's what hell is. Revelation 18. Luke chapter 12. Check it out. Better to be a fool for Christ, like Apostle Paul, chosen by God. That's what I am. I look forward to being sacrificed for the furtherance of the faith of the brethren. My life is not dear to me. I don't need a gun or a tank or a nuclear bomb. I'm not afraid of any of those things. But I'll tell you who I am afraid of, and I tremble, is my Father in heaven who can destroy my soul and body in hell. Matthew chapter 10.
Okay. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. That bug is always around, but at least it wasn't a pig sound. Let's take a break. 501. Where did that come? 501. 508. 996. 0500.
It will be because we organized and forced a government to speak to our needs.
The illiterate of the 21st century are not going to be the people who cannot read and write. The illiterate of the 21st century are going to be the people who cannot learn, unlearn, and relearn.
There's that pig sound again. No, it's not a pig. And it's not, I get it. A woman friend even hit me up with a text today saying that she thought it was seagulls. No, eagles. Ego. But I guess, after a while they all kind of sound the same, don't they? They just make that bird noise. 508-996-0500. Outrageous was the reaction from Governor Healy when somebody, you tell me who that somebody was, somebody whispered into the governor's ear, did you hear what the utility companies are proposing for winter rates this winter? According to what I'm reading right here from WCVB.com, Eversource has asked the State Department of Public Utilities to approve increases of 13%. Now, I have no idea where they came up with lucky number 13. But can you imagine whatever you paid last winter? If you just take the average and then add 13%, that's if the DPU approves. Now, here's the dirty little secret about these games that the utility companies play. They probably want a 6 or 7% increase, so they ask for a 13, 14, 12% increase because they know the Department of Public Utilities is going to chop it down. Governor Healy knows that it's going to be chopped down. But you ask for a lot more. This is a negotiation. But to the me's and you's, it's another 6 or 7% out of our pocket, maybe 8%. And they keep on going up and up and up. And here's something else that the Department of Public Utilities and the utility companies know. And by the way, many of the people that are on the DPU, they have somehow, some way worked with the utility companies before, whether they are a hired attorney or they were a salesperson or whatever. They've worked for Eversource. They've worked for National Grid, or they've contracted with these companies. They know the people on the DPU. Let me try that a different way, because the people I'm talking about right now are the DPU, but the utility companies know the people on the DPU. They've gone to lunch or dinner with these people. They are intimate, professionally intimate. And according to a spokesperson for the Department of Public Utilities, the agency is actively reviewing the rate filings from the gas companies. Then the next sentence that is nicely thrown into the story, by the end of September. So what are we looking at? Today is the 20th. So in 10 days, Governor Healy will have appointed all 3 commissioners at the DPU who must approve or reject the rate increase request by November 1st. So she's going to make her decision on all the people who are going to be sitting on this illustrious panel. And then the decision will be made. All right, let's go back to your calls. Hello. Hello.
Maura Healy is definitely one of those people that her actions speak louder than her words. Because isn't she the one that killed 2 pipelines and bragged about it?
Kinda.
It's sort of like the people of southern Massachusetts are thirsty, and she said, I did everything I could to cut the water off. And they'd be like, well, we're thirsty. But don't you understand? Cutting the water off saved the environment. But we're going to die because we can't have water. That doesn't matter because in the pecking order, the environment's more important than you are. And that's my story for the day.
So you know what I think? I think you're absolutely correct because the environmental people contributed more money to her campaign than the regular yous and me's. If the regular yous and me's were competitive with the environment, then we might end up on the correct end of the stick. Can you imagine that?
Well, they're she's sort of like Tricky Dicky. She's Magic Mora because I think if you could have given Mora, the average voter gave Mora 70% of her war chest for becoming governor, she would have pulled a Magic Mora and said, thank you very much, and then she would have went off and did whatever she wanted to do anyway. Because I think that's the sort of people we elect now, is they're elected with black money, dark money, whatever you want to call it, money, George Soros money, and other places. It's not the same thing happens on the Republican side, but they get into office to do what they're told to do or what they are asked to do, not what when was the last time she had a town hall and said, hey, what do you think? How things going? What do we need to do better? She hasn't done one of those. So
do governors, you since you brought it up, do governors do town halls?
I don't know. I don't see why they can't. I mean, back in the late 80s, I lived down in New York City area, and Governor Cuomo at the time, Mario, used to get on the radio station, I can't remember, it's 88 AM radio down there, and which is actually broadcast pretty far. I don't even know if it's still around.
WCBS is still around.
Yeah, he used to get on the radio, and he would have a 2-hour show where people called in from all over, so I consider that the same thing.
Governor Healy does that, then she does that too. Yes, on a Boston station, and the Boston station is broadcast throughout the Commonwealth.
Well, I'm sure no one's asking her the hard questions.
I don't know if they are or are not, but I know that every month she shows up.
Well, that's good. Good for her. Well,
Charlie Baker did the same thing.
We're still all thirsty. So I guess whatever she's doing now she's shocked about the oil companies or the rates going up. I don't understand how she'd be shocked, right? So
I think that's a great response, but I don't think she's going to do anything. Excuse me. Yes, she's already punted. She's deflected to the Department of Public Utilities. She's not sticking her own neck out on the line.
Right. No, I think that I think there's a lot wrong with her approach to this because I don't think that her approach was to look at things like utilities, which is generally something that's managed by the government, whatever government that is, because it's not supposed to be a high-profit sector of business. It's supposed to provide reasonable service and cost efficiency for the public. That's why it's a utility versus something that's retail, so to speak.
So I guess let's debate that if we can for a second.
Sure.
Not a long one. I'll give you yours after mine. And that would be if you go back to the game of Monopoly, you had Waterworks and Electric Company. The reason why I bring these two up because Monopoly is supposed to be about the money world of the United States, or at least when it was first developed. I bring this up because they are publicly traded companies, so they are for profit.
Well, there's no question, and they do make profit. But if you look at like Fall River, you've got it's not a utility, but the cable service. You get one cable service for all of Fall River. It's chosen by a committee or however it's chosen, but it takes it out of the and this goes with a lot of other utilities, because of the infrastructure and cost and everything else, it takes it out of the retail ability. You can't go and choose another cable company or another, an option for lower cost unless you go to a satellite or something else. Now you've got streaming services, but in the case of, what other gas companies there? What other?
No, you're absolutely right. But I'm coming back. They're going to get some kind of an approval, and if you are one who puts your money, your savings money into utilities, you have a pretty good idea of what your increase is going to be, and that's what these people are betting on. And the governors understand that.
Right.
All right, man.
Right.
Got to let you go.
That's why it's low cost on the monopoly board.
Yeah, you're right. But it appears at two spots, and you roll the dice for that particular one. Good point and good call. Let's get one more in before we got to get the heck out of here. Hello.
Good morning. Good afternoon, Brian.
Yeah, I'm whatever time it is.
Yeah. It's going to be an interesting election.
Which one?
The city.
Why do you say that?
Well, last year taxes went up, our utilities went up, water and sewer went up, everything went up. There were meetings held up at Pulaski School, people, vented and everything, but the hikes went through. Now this year the budget went through and they passed it, and there's going to be another tax increase. The taxes will be set after the election. And so now you got this thing coming down from the state about another utility increase too. This is going to hammer the people, the residents of New Bedford. I mean, all over the state. But taxes are going to go up. Utilities are going to go up. Water and sewer are going to keep going up. So the people that are hurting, they're going to hurt more. And there's no hope. There's no end in sight with this, because the mayor next year is going to come back and ask for another $50 million, and he's going to bring the budget up to $600 million. And this city relies on state aid and collecting taxes. They get some revenue, but as soon as that comes in, it goes out the door, and then they have to reach out to the state for their aid, and then whatever the delta is left over, it goes to the taxpayers. And as long as he keeps expanding government, the city, we need a city council that, can play that role where they say, hey, we can't do this anymore. Somebody's got to stand up for the people.
I got you.
Because when taxes go up, the rents go up. Everything, it trickles down.
I got you. Hey, got to let you go with that only because of time, but thank you for your call.
And bring about the freedom of these people by any means necessary.
Oh, there goes that seagull eagle. According to Wendy Morrill, Stacy Rubin, one of the DPU commissioners, used to work with the Conservation Law Foundation. So, Wendy, thank you much for that. Adios. We'll do it at 6 Monday.
From town to town, sometimes I think I'll settle down, but I know I'd hunger to be free. Roving's the only life for me. Adrift in the world is my friend. I'm traveling along the road without it.
Everything from clothing to household items are getting more expensive each day. The world of fast fashion has complicated clothing production by shipping cheap parts around the world to whoever can sew them the cheapest. And now you, the consumer, are paying the price with rising costs. American Giant is about keeping things simple and close to home. They aren't affected by tariffs because their products never leave the U.S. Skip the tariff and snag yourself American-made clothing with American Giant. Get 20% off your first order when you use promo code STAPLE20 at American-Giant.com. That's 20% off when you use code STAPLE20 at American-Giant.com.
Shop the Sherwin-Williams Super Sale and get 40% off paints and stains September 19th through the 24th. With prices starting at $29.39, it's the perfect time to transform your space with color. Whether you're looking to revamp your interior or exterior, we have you covered with bold hues, soothing neutrals, and everything in between. Visit your neighborhood Sherwin-Williams store or shop the sale online. Delivery available on qualifying orders. Click the banner to learn more. Retail sales only. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
Coach, the energy out there felt different. What changed for the team today?
It was the new game day scratchers from the California Lottery. Players everything. Those games sent the team's energy through the roof.
Are you saying it was the off-field play that made the difference on the field?
Hey, a little play makes your day, and today, it made the game. That's all for now.
Coach, one more question.
Play the new Los Angeles Chargers, San Francisco 49ers, and Los Angeles Rams Scratchers from the California Lottery. A little play can make your day. Please play responsibly. Must be 18 years or older to purchase, play, or claim.